Doot, 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 people of the night. Welcome to FME Attention Undivided. We have riveting conversations with some of the most important people in music. And holy smokes, I'm very happy to have Curly Castro of the Wrecking Crew.
What up?
How many months ago was it? I don't know time. Where we sat here, talked
Did
about
the Killer Priest?
talked about Haram.
That was summertime, right? I'm because the best thing I can do is seasons at this point. Like sometimes I'm losing time. I don't even know what day it is. I have to ask my girl what day it is. Sometimes I'm totally lost it. So I feel like that was in the summertime. It was me, you, and Sharif.
And it's incredible where things have gone since then.
True that.
For everybody, really. But I'm so excited to talk to you. This is you're releasing an album called Little Robert Hutton.
Yes.
On Backwoods, and shout out to we brought PQ on State of the Game, talked to him about great cover art.
Oh.
He cleared the deck and was like, let's talk Rhyme Puma. And we
okay. Hell yeah.
A whole Rhyme Puma segment. Because with the pyramids and Rhyme Puma has done so much
incredible stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
like the latest one I'm vibing off is now that the underwater pyramid stuff, because it looks underwater. Like you can't even and that's a color gradient he's doing, because he's doing the picture, but then he's giving you that scene to make you like, all right, this thing needs to look underwater, and I don't need to put a bunch of bubbles to make you feel that either. And these are paintings. I have one here. I have the Griff Company Too Many Secrets. It's like this big.
Right.
I'll bring it before. Just remind me. I'll show it to you. I'll pull it in the thing. It's huge. We went through this whole kerfluffle to get it shipped. So he gets busy.
Yeah. Definitely. No, my first book was done by a real artist who I really respected, and I have that framed. If you get really great art, you get to just enjoy it for the rest of your life.
And he's touched and chosen because, artwork can go through many revisions.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give Puma an assignment, he can do a couple of things as he's sketching it, but there's not much that you want him to change once he finds his path. It's not like, sometimes with artwork, technically, I don't like the way my nose, especially drawing my nose off, or the text is here. There's a lot of it, but with Puma, his instincts are always gold. Like I ask him to do something, he doesn't. I rarely find myself like, all right, can you change that? And sometimes, and this is just being an artist working with visual artists, there's an obligation. So sometimes you get somebody to work hard on something and you'll bite the bullet. Even if you're a perfectionist, you'll bite it and be like, oh, this is dope. But there might be one little thing that you don't want to insult the person you're working with. And it could be the most innocuous thing. I can see my pinky's pointed out or my thumb's not, like those little things. But sometimes when the work is good, you can accept those. And then sometimes I've had art projects back and forth and back. It's like an Aaliyah song.
Yep. No, it's
serious talk. So and that's a process too, because now you're like trying to get to a goal. Like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, this is not magic. It's not Public Enemy's planet hanging outside the earth. All right. How can we get, to the mutual goal? And
we're like negotiating now to the Ben Simmons trade that's good enough,
Right. Exactly. Sometimes artwork can be that. Like you're just trying to have a compromise. Yes.
But yeah, even like to your point, like the Ebenezer Maxwell cover is just beautiful.
It's a girl, and not even the girl. She got the fatty. I'm loving how he has. Is that him, Lo? That's him, right?
Yeah, that's him.
Right. Yeah, yep. And the fur and everying that's around him. Yes. With the and I think he had a growler. I'm not sure what kind of glass he had, but all those the things that work with Puma is the little details. The thing he did with Wino Willie with the sunrise picture next to the pyramid, next to that starburst and that nice blue. I remember, I love all this stuff, but he did I think it was it's not him, Lo. So that means it was Clever One is Drunk and Perverted. That one, I think.
Yep.
With the drunken monkey dude, but he had the two Glocks, the 2 9mm.
Yes, I think
with the flask of liquor around. I said, I called him. I said, this is incredible. Like this just looks like you pulled it out your brain. It doesn't look like you used a picture to model. It doesn't look like you watched the movie and paused it and took an iconic scene. It definitely has his touch to it. So even when you ask him to lay homage, like I love Prince Hakeem Jules, he looks like Eddie Murphy with the flower girls next to him. You're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I can be very effusive about Puma. He's worth every penny. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
great work. He raps too.
But the instincts, right? The instincts. Everything is conceptual. Everything is really makes sense and tells a story. It's really something. But to get to it, Little Robert Hutton. Everybody's been saying how great it is. There's been a bubbling about it. I'm here to say definitively, like every year has like a concept album that steers everything. And this is it. Little Robert Hutton is it.
Thank you, son.
The concept album of the year.
Appreciate that.
I want to hear what Nate LeBlanc says about it, because Nate LeBlanc we talked last year, and he said, I don't want a loose concept album. I don't want like an umbrella thrown over a collection of songs. I want it tight. Like what he said, if you tell me it's a book of human language, I want a book of human language.
Indeed. Sometimes it's pretty literal. Sometimes you get the ultra umbrella arc, where like the first song and the second song and a sample in the middle, and that's it. I like to blur the line a little bit. Like it is a concept record, and I did want to pay homage to Little Bobby, but I didn't want to be preachy, and I didn't want to be so obvious. So like there's the Little Bobby song and the Huey P. Newton song and the Eldridge and all the Black Panther stuff that you cursorily know just from news and stuff. I didn't want to do that. That was the Bobby Seale song. Like that stuff is kind of it's tacky, because the same nuances they took when they wrote and they protested and they were verbal. You should take that same nuance when you're honoring them. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't just take the shortcut. Like the shortcut, to be honest, if you know your Black Panther history, it's like to read. Check this. I found this one book. I used to do projects on the Black Panther Party in college. So I did 2 major projects. I'm talking about. I still have the overhead film, the transparencies that you put on overheads. Nice. So it was this one book I found, right? And it was disgustingly inaccurate. It was so lazy, because what that book had did was it took Bobby Seale out of his place in the story and put Eldridge Cleaver in there. Huey P. Newton met Eldridge Cleaver. And I'm like, wait a minute. And you're reading, you're thinking, is this? I'm flipping. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I figured, I said, they just took Bobby out and put Eldridge in. How incorrect could that be? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's totally dishonoring of the history. You don't want to be accurate. I mean, that's supremely late. And it's a book, meaning it has a binder, and it went to a publisher of some sort and it printed multiple copies of it. So I say that to say that I hold all of those ancestors in high reverence, and I didn't want to do anything tacky. That's my main thing. Like, there's a tacky representation of stuff. I'm doing an album on Frankenstein. The first song is Doctor, and the next song is Frankenstein, and then maybe the third song is Mary, and then the fourth song is Shelley. Like, you got to give your listeners more credit for their intelligence. I always want to credit my listeners to having intelligence to be able to grasp what I'm showing.
So I want to follow up that point, and then I want to give you a funny Eldridge Cleaver story from my family.
Yes.
Which I don't know how many people are going to hit you with funny Eldridge Cleaver stories, but I'm here.
I'm just sure I'll get a look up.
So first, to follow your point, it's tacky now, and we respect the albums before that were tacky. They taught us how to not be tacky. Like Death Certificate comes to mind, right? Death Certificate, the life side and the death side and the alive on arrival transition. And we needed that. We needed that because the form was developing. And we needed someone to kind of teach us how a concept album worked,
Yep, exactly. No, exactly.
But exactly. Now there's no reason to duplicate that. Now you build on top of it, or you leave it alone. So my parents, my dad's from Oakland, my mom is from like the Bay Area.
Okay.
And so it was weird living in Maine with this kind of Bay Area experiences. And my mom, whenever we would bring up Eldridge Cleaver, she'd be like, him and his cod pieces. She thought of him as like a tacky person because like he apparently had a fashion line at some point.
Yo,
And
he is.
there were cod pieces. There were a lot of cod pieces.
The same way a snake sheds their skin after a certain time after it dries out. That's perfect with Eldridge. He just, he put on a skin to fit in the mode and the company he was in. Because when he was with the Panthers, he was all about the Panthers until they got, cornered. He's like, I'm all about escape. And he's in Algiers. Now I'm all about this. Now he comes back to America. I'm all about being a Republican. Like, hey, whatever's going to keep me dust free and the least amount of blood leaving my body, I'll go with that. So it's interesting because he's a staple within the movement. But it's funny that what if Republicans grabbed him? What if Hoover got him and turned him? That would have been easy. So now, how much destruction could that have been? So, you know what I'm saying? So one of those guys that I think was game for anything. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could see him. Like, you come in the room, that's as far as stay right there. And it's unfortunate because Soul on Ice is a great tome. Like, it's just great to have as a book in a library. Yep. But there's some troubling things in there, the raping of the white women, all of that. But as far as Eldridge, his contribution to me, because I feel like he's somewhat responsible for Bobby catching all those bullets, he was there, is Soul on Ice. Like, I think that's his thing. That was what he was here for. He wasn't here to uplift the party because he really didn't do that. He was there to show you. I also think Eldridge was a person that when somebody tells you who they are, listen. And I'm pretty sure he showed some people little glimpses of, hey, this is how I really am. Because, he left his wife. His wife was here. Straight when up. He bounced to Algiers. Like, what's going on? So anyway, I always bring him up because it's a funny story, but he needs to be vilified properly because people will, like I told you, that mishandled book, they will group him in to the core people because of those are the names that ring out.
Right. No, there's always people who like the excitement of a movement.
Yes.
They're not there for it like that. They're not like I'm the kind of dude where it's like nothing's gonna happen to you now. Like, we're here. If it happens, you do. And like, I don't know why. No one taught me that. Like, that's just the way it is. But that wasn't in him. You know what I mean? That wasn't in him at all. But it's, man, this album is so great. I am the kind of person who like stares deeply into an album and finds all kinds of shit.
Appreciate that.
This is an album that stares back into me. And it was a lot of fun. Because these are like arguments I've been having my whole life with people. Because I've always been pro-Panther. I've always really enjoyed the Panthers and been fascinated by it, partially because my dad saw them and like.
Right, so you have the connection of your dad was around in that era in the flesh, in the vicinity. So you would have a different dissemination of that information to, let's just say, a regular white family that lived in Sacramento. So not so close, but you hear whispers. And I think back then there's a defining line between white folks like yourself and your family that were there and white folks that lived a little distance where they're hearing telephone games and a story of a story. Right. Like the Selma thing was very powerful because it was on TV and everybody's like, oh, like whether that was naive on anybody's part or not, but to see that live and direct on TV and Brokaw, I think Brokaw was alive. He's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like people's reactions. So definitely I appreciate your life experience to give you that perspective because that's special. I mean,
when I started reading about them, and then I went to him like, man, did you ever encounter this? He's like, the Panthers were everywhere when I was a kid, and I've never seen anybody as powerful.
Thank you. Since then, yep. and it shows you that Hoover had deliberation. He knew what he was doing because how the Panthers were spreading the grassroots. When people say grassroots movement, the power in it is you could plant a seed anywhere. There's soil everywhere, and when the government has an inability to hold the line at like the Mason-Dixon or in the Northeast, and it's like it's in Portland and in Maine. Wait a minute, no, that's the distances. That means all parties in between might get infected. It's the same way that they fight communism and now I'm not even gonna say liberalism, but the same way they would attack communism. Hey, they got this territory, and then 800 miles here, they got this territory. what's in between? We need to figure this out. We need to stop this bleeding or whatever. And I think that's what Hoover was out. He was like, I'm gonna stop this Black Panther bleeding into all of these communities, because they could have united the nation. They had a platform, everything was in line. But again, I don't want to just Super Panther it out, because that's not the whole record, but definitely is the bloodline of the record.
I think the benefit of listening to Little Robert Hutton, for people who like aren't as keyed in to that piece of history, is and maybe this is a question, maybe not, but my biggest problem with discussing the Panthers with people here, white people, has been they act like it's a debate. Like there was a debate from one side of the aisle to the other.
So it's exactly, rather than just a conversation.
Those fellas were unreasonable, right?
Right. And start with well, yes.
And so like the thing that your album conveys so well is the complete lack of safety that they lived under.
Yes.
Right? That they were hunted.
Yes.
And if you read like Tom Wolfe's Radical Chic thing, they were also fetishized while they were being hunted, right?
Yes. How about that? Double that? Like, to me, that's like the ultimate DP, if you want double penetration, because it's like, you hate what you love. You hate what you love. You want to take the little pieces that make you feel good about it, or intriguing, or like mysterious, whether that be the cloth, the clothing, the speech, the mannerisms, but not enough. Like, and I'll say this phrase always works. Everybody want to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga. And so you want to take the good, gushy parts, but you don't really want to stand for anything. And so like, I have white friends, I have a lot of Black friends, I have Black power friends, and I understand the complexities of everybody's position. Allyship is tough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of self-reflection going on. There's a lot of talking about your kinfolk in a certain way and trying to convince them and bring them over. And I get that. That's pretty difficult. We go through the same thing. There's a lot of Black folks that are very hard line. You got to talk to them about, certain things. But I say that to say this, that anybody that knows me knows I'm Black power to the bone. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I have so many white compatriots, people, they'll ask me questions. I fielded those questions, and I have a defining eye, and I pick my friends wisely. That's all I can say. If anybody knows me, I'm thorough. I'll pick my friends wisely. I've been through a lot of male divorces. As people that don't understand and work on this stuff, like, we get divorced. Like, men get divorced, and sometimes it's as ugly as you hear. Yep. Celebrity divorces. Anyway, you pick your friends wisely and you move on from there. But you hope that your intelligence and your experience and awareness can bleed into them so they can have an understanding, and vice versa. Right.
But I mean, you've been at it for a long time. I was looking up like best mixtapes. I don't know what year it was.
2012. You talking about Wu-Tang Pope?
Yeah, it was on.
Yeah, it was like 20.
It was on Hip Hop DX. It was like right.
It was a while ago. It's not 2012. I don't even know. Like it was 7 years before. Yeah, it could have been 2011. Yeah, it was a while back.
That's wow. I mean, so you've been doing it for a long time, seen a lot. So this is the interesting thing to talk like crew dynamics for a while. There's probably people looking at this from afar saying like, you guys must have organized how different all these albums are, like Human Zoo to Vegas Vic to Little Robert Hutton. As a creative person who's been around creative people, I don't think that's the case. I think you guys
it's
your thing.
It's we keep working. So the key with like Wrecking Crew, as far as the crew, is we're all solo artists. We just happen to be good friends, and we're all business partners. So the solo aspect is pretty important. So we all keep that engine going on our own. Sometimes I will say in the past, we would do things in the Wu-Tang vein. Like a lot of people are participating in the solo records. As we move forward and expanded our resources, now it's like a little bit more, you work on your project and you let some cats hear it when it's done.
Yep.
And there was a definitive change to that. But it's just important that we all hold up our part of the bargain. So when we do the collab pieces and the duos and the trios and stuff like that, that's all natural because that's just within the work schedule. So if we keep up our end of the bargain, we keep up our end of the schedule, then it makes it seem like we're prolific, but we're not individually putting out. I didn't put out 10 projects. Prem didn't put out 10. Zilla, Smalls, you know what I'm saying? We collectively put out like 10. And that works better for our profile. As far as planning and stuff, it's funny because we do early on, like, all right, I'll put it like this. There was a time in hip hop where you would get a bunch of features, whether you on something or you got this feature, let's just say you got Sonny Chiba, and that was gonna make your album, right? Yeah. And that was gonna lead to sales, and all the Sonny Chiba fans were gonna come trickling over. When they do a Sonny Chiba search, they're gonna find your record because your stuff is active in between his records and things of that nature, right? And that's not true at all. That's very much not true. So I think when that stuff happens and you go through that in the normal hip hop cycle of ascension, you start realizing that you're the engine and it's up to you. So if you can keep that bargain with yourself, then you will keep yourself, you'll maintain, you'll be prolific in your own rap.
Yeah, if you're tuned the right way, I think like you have a friend that you run with and they do their best work and they hand it to you before it comes out and say, listen to this shit. And you hear it and you're like, this is the best shit they've ever done. If you're tuned right, it makes you want to dig into yourself.
Exactly. So there's, whether we can pinpoint it, we might more admit it to ourselves, but like my album, or the way I did this album will lead Prem to finish his album, and Zilla seeing that says, okay, well, I can put out my album after this. We definitely keep each other in mind, but we definitely can inspire each other on some domino effect. So like after, as good as Vegas Vic is, it's like, all right, boom, Load Bearing Crow's Feet, boom. Still, like those things you have to maintain status quo. So nobody wants to drop the baton at all. So, but definitely there have been situations where watching somebody, not even the quality of the record, but watching how somebody buckle down and finish their record might make one of us buckle down and finish our record, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, we got the Wrecking Crew mixes and does group albums together and projects together all the time. It's really cool. But Shrapnel always felt different.
Well, Shrapnel came a little later in our processes.
Shrapnel always felt like going through the history of everybody working it out. Hearing Shrapnel, I was like, ooh, this is something, right? This is like something here. It works in a way, it's just different.
Shrapnel was the best idea we never had. Because as soon as we started thinking about it, it was one of those, of course. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great idea. And we would tell people about it. Like, oh, that's a great idea. Like I said, so it was the greatest idea we never had. But then when we actually activated it, it just seemed like a no-brainer. And I think that's where the speciality of it, the uniqueness of it, how the level it's on, that's the spark that creates that.
How has the creation and growth of Shrapnel changed the both of you? Because I think this is the most Prem Rock album we've ever had, Load Bearing Crow's Feet.
Yes, this is definitive work. Shrapnel allows us to so like, when you reinvest in your company after you make some money, Shrapnel allows us to reinvest our confidence in our work and ourselves. So you're naturally confident, but something like that hits and works, and we didn't plan it. Like, that's the big thing about Shrapnel. There wasn't a big plan to, okay, this is what this record could do, what this record might do, and this is the least it could do. We thought we were going to have to tour the record, period, because we were a new group. Even though people knew Prem and they knew me, with us together with Lucid Beats and with Green Beats is a new concept. So we entered it as, we have to introduce people to something new. Hence why the first record is self-titled. So the Shrapnel record is called Shrapnel because we're introducing Shrapnel. Right. The fact that the situations that COVID, being quarantined, gave people time to listen to it and really dive into it, which might not have happened if everything was up and running. We thought we were going to have to tour the record then. That was the mission. The mission was to get a bunch of copies, extra copies, and we're going to hit the road and sell this record on the road. And that's how, and we'll make the bones. And when we come back around, then the copies we have in the warehouse and at home, they'll start moving. The fact that Shrapnel started moving naturally, and I think one thing Prem noticed early on, he was like, yo, these are new people. Like everybody that was commenting on it was somebody new, a stranger, not our homies. And that's when we knew it was doing something, like the unknown were reaching out. And so shrapnel, unfortunately, is the best problem to have. It makes you, we have to step it up. We can't, a girl never dates down. So if she dates a Fortune 25 motherfucker, then she dates a Fortune 28. She's not going back to some Fortune 22. I'm just using those numbers. She's looking for a Fortune 100. She, that's how women operate. And hip hop is like that. You reach a certain level, like, so I'll even bring Ja Rule. He's a good analogy because he was clicking. I always said he should have just been Lou Rawls. He was clicking with the duets. Then he does Blood in My Eye because of this 50 Cent thing. What, how horrible a career decision was that? You didn't even have to put out an album anymore, homie. You needed to hit that lick and keep it going. So, definitely strike while the iron's hot. That's just a little side piece. Like,
I had reached out at one point. This is my philosophy podcast back in the day. I reached out to a graphic designer and I was like, can you paint this Blood in My Eye cover, but with my head on Ja Rule? And she didn't, which I'm thankful for because that was a really silly idea. But yes, no, that's a terrible record. And it is because it's not believable anymore. Like
the motivations are all poison. It's all tainted because where you're coming from, you're trying to battle 50. And that's not what was making you millions during that time when you were I'm not even gonna say unfortunate because salute to that, man. You were running rap. You were running rap.
Yep.
Did you need to beat 50? That's where your hubris fucked you up. Pride before the fall.
Yep.
You know who ignores people? Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like when Drake took the other road with Pusha T, people thought a million things, but you can't lose the battles you don't fight. And so Drake is like, look, I'm persona non grata. I'm not gonna take the L. I'm gonna forfeit. That way you can't tag that L on my record. That's the other column, the tie, the zero. You know what I'm saying? The draw and shit like that. And so I just bring that up. If something is working for you, your fans are expecting you to honor some of that agreement. Right. You know what I'm saying? Don't paint yourself in a corner. That's wrong. But definitely do what's working. Definitely do. I'm sorry if I got off.
No, it's cool. I was talking to Mighty Healthy earlier today, and I was telling him like, people don't want what they want. They want 30% of what they want and 70% some new shit.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. So and they're willing to let you lead them to that, but you have to take the lead.
And you have to give them that 30%. If you can give them that 30% and you experiment the rest, they're pretty cool. I would say the choice to hold your voice from this album until 2 minutes and 5 seconds of track 2 is one of the most important decisions of your career. By holding back the flow, you force the audience into the story, Bobby Immortal, and the Sonics before they hear you. How was that decision? How did that come about?
Well, the irony of that is Wood said to me when he was perusing the album, he said, that's pretty bold. He said, we don't hear your voice for like 3 minutes, right? I said, yeah, if you play, straight through, scared. He's like, that's pretty bold. And, Woods is as avant-garde as can be. He'll make some amazing moves in his first tracks. Like Woods had the killer first tracks. Like you're gonna know that what's up. So it's the title of the project, Little Robert Hutton, is stretching out his nickname. So his nickname was Little Bobby. Everybody knows Little Bobby, and I felt like to give him another more extended homage. I'm gonna spell out Little, not Lil. Bobby's gonna be Robert. Hutton, his God-given name. So I thought I need to pay homage to that without being heavy-handed. So I found that clip, and I had my man Marcus Penn. I say, yo, scratch this whole damn thing up. 3 minutes. And it's funny because me being a critic, I've been listening to the demo. I was like, oh, is this too long? Is this too much to ask fans? I'm like, you know what? This is the record where I don't give a fuck. This is me. This is my Black Angst given form. So I'm gonna make the decisions I wanted to make. And this is what I wanted to do. So if you vibe with me, if you dig in the blade, so be it. If not, we got the next track coming up. And so, and then the next track, which is, I'll say it for the listeners so they can all pronounce, is AAVE and Saltfish. So it's built off the term Aki and Saltfish, but AAV is African American vernacular language. And so it's my appropriation song. Appropriation is not happening. And that's the sound of a man working on a chain gang. That's a old song from like and when MPs were in military prison. They used to do that. And there's a movie called Cadence with our man Charlie Sheen is in there. Yeah.
I that song, listening to that, the chain gang portion made me angry at my wife. I love the Sam Cooke song Chain Gang.
Yes.
I play it in the car. Whenever I do, she starts doing the grunts and making them sexual. And that's
that is not the point. Get back. Yeah. But I always wanted to musically adapt that. I really like that movie, Cadence, what it's about. The white man trying to, assimilate himself into a foreign element with other Black military prisoners. It's just a really good, heartwarming story. A lot of good characters, and I always liked that move. Get back. I would have even done a little more, but me and the other creative on it, Margell was so fine. He came up with something, and we were going back and forth. And Dose 4G Dub produced that, and I was like, "Yo, I need Margell to sing this part first, and then Candace Wilson sings at the end, and get this out, because this to me is like the heartbeat, the sonic heartbeat of the record. It's the sound of the man working on the chain. Like that's what we all do. Black men specifically, and all of us in a general sense. And I wanted people to know I'm about to get this. This is me getting busy. And then the song is about misappropriation and trying to take Black culture without taking the pain that's attached.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I was like, there's a movie from 1932 called I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang with Paul Mooney.
Okay. Oh, word.
Incredible. It's a great movie. And it was like, after that movie came out, I think they made chain gangs illegal. I think that movie was part of making chain gangs legal.
That's funny,
and it's really eye-opening because it really shows you how that life was, and like the target on your back when you escaped. And listening to the refrain, I was thinking, if more people knew the history of chain gangs, less shocked by the cruelty they see in the world now, right? They'd be like,
they were on the side of roads to be displayed. Like that's why they made them work out there, the garbage pickups, the banging, so people, we're gonna make an example out of you, boy. And they meant that. You know what I mean?
No, there's a sense that like the cruelty we're seeing now in America is like new and terrible, and there's nothing new about it. And
that's a revelation to let people know this is as old as baked bread. That this stuff was going on, been going on, continues going on, and that's the tragedy. That a lot of things have changed, and a lot of times nothing has changed.
No, so that was it's a great song, but yes, holding it back because you have that reputation as like the person we would send to rap for the aliens to guarantee our civilization.
I could take that. Yeah, I could take that. Shrapnel, especially, my role is to kick off a lot of songs. I kick off a lot of it. Shrapnel Blades. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to front. I think Shrapnel was the first time I fully engaged with you.
Okay.
And so
good entry point. I don't mind that.
And so my first thought was, he's cheating. This isn't. He's so natural at this. He's cheating. This isn't right. But like hearing your process on Call Out Culture, the editing that goes into it, the conceptualizing, it was really good to be like, oh no, this is the end result of a lot of work. But yeah, no, it was. So you have that reputation as like the rapper's rapper, right? So like for you to be like, no, first you hear Bobby, then you hear how interesting this production is, right? Because this album's electronic, it's jazzy, it's soulful, it's everything in a way. Yeah. So yeah, one of my questions was like, do you think this album has a unified sound? And if so, what is it?
Well, if you look at the producer list, everybody except Quelly Chris did 2 or more beats. So that's a little, I think I took from not purposely, but DJ Muggs had recently did that on, I think, his De La Muerte, Soul Assassins tape.
Yep.
There's like Ghostface is on like 2 songs, and Doom is on like 2 songs, and everybody has 2 different appearances. So I felt like doing that would give it some continuity if I put one of your beats early, one of your beats late, or whatever like that.
Mhm.
There is like when I listen to the record, there's a lot of like ghost horns, like the ghosts of Blue Notes, and there's a lot of horns to it. There's that, but so the initial like I always give like the producers I work with like a byline of kind of what I'm looking for. So either what I'm picking or what you're sending me.
Mhm.
And the initial tagline of the record was, "What if Little Bobby was weaponized with Afrofuturism of today? How would Hoover have taken that? You know what I'm saying? What would have been different?" And that also goes into like my comic book background. As you can see on the cover, I pretty much like made like Little Bobby into a cyborg with like, if anybody knows X-Men, that's like the Warlock Phalanx look.
Yeah.
And so what would that have been? So Dose 4G Dub, he went right there in that bag and gave me that future lick. Some of the lyrics that I have on like Capoeira Record makes you think of futuristic society. So I was trying to meld the two. So once the album started getting rolling and I had gotten so many good beats, it made me have to adjust that ideal. It wasn't gonna sound like do, 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 you know, futuristic beeps and bloops.
Yeah.
It was just gonna be more of an idea applied as well as the sonic. So I think the album has a great unified sound. Like I listen to it and I'm satisfied. I'm going from track 1 to I think 13. But I think I might have to leave the listeners to figure that out. I'm not sure, like just off the gate, if it does or if it doesn't, but I do know that all the sounds belong. And like, this is an album that I executive produced. I made all of the final decisions. I didn't really involve the crew at all in terms of like, sometimes we'll give each other our albums like, yo, can you arrange this for me? I arranged this record. I sat in on all the mixes with our live. I was adamant about getting it to green, to master it and stuff. So this is like an album I helmed. So like, if the sound is on there, it's because I think it belonged. And that's pretty
That
much
makes sense. Yeah, I think my favorite beat might be the beat. I think this is a switch at the end of the Spike Lee Denzel Wesley Snipes argument.
Okay, yeah, Bleak Shadows.
Bleak
Yeah.
Shadows. I think there's a beat switch at the end of that. And it's
Yes.
like
So that is that's August Fanon and all his worldly superpowers. So Fanon gives you so many beats that it's very hard to choose and settle in, because while you focused on the 5 you might grab, or the 3 you might grab, he's still sending you like another 20 or 30 in that time period. So I had a crisis of like selection. I was like, dang, which one can I pick and which one did I leave off? And I left off some. So that's why you have something like Black August in 4 parts. And that's why you have the switch on Bleak Shadows. And so Bleak Shadows is pretty much my song about like being entertained. The 2 sides you can take. You take the Gillian Bleak side, play for the art and all of that stuff. And then you can take the Wesley side, which is not selfish, it's obvious. Like when Bleak criticizes him for playing what the people want, that's what you're here for, to play what the people want. And Wesley, as Shadow, was like, yeah, that's what we are here to play what the people want. What do you think they came here for? So it's like, I love that argument in that movie. So I just wanted to express that because we all feel that way. Sometimes we want to do what we want to do, but you have an agreement with the audience where we should do some things that they want to do because that's why they're here and that's why they paid and that's why they bought your piece. So I love that argument. So yeah, that second beat is dope. That's all it's for now. Yeah. So yeah, but that's just because it's just an abundance. It's the greatest problem to have too many good beats.
Yeah, no, there's futurist sounds on here. There's dance hall stuff on here, and there's but the jazzy stuff is like and forgive me for going nerdy on this, is the sad, slow jazz that's like Miles Davis, Porgy and Bess jazz.
Yes. I'm glad you picked that out now. So that's not conscious, that's my subconscious. That's my Charlie Mingus. That's my Boy Bulls, and you know what I'm saying? Like the Mingus, like he could drag the emotion out, just wrench it out with a long bass note, or just directing his band to play a long horn, you know. So I definitely was going for that. I didn't want it to be morose, the album, but there are sad things about our experience that you need to feel underneath.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what's that's what's so exciting about it, is because the sonics to me are all over, right? It's incredible. You get an incredible birth of it. But the story is so dialed in and so focused. And so it's that dynamic really works for it. And it's like nothing you're seeing. Like every guest on Little Robert Hutton is laser on point.
Yes,
The story.
I'm happy about that.
Is like really impressive.
Yeah.
Everyone going there, and how difficult was that to organize from the people being on the album?
What, all of them? What song did you just mention? I cut you off.
Oh, F stands for Hampton, right? Getting
Yeah.
like Chicago MCs to
Yep. So this is before
chunks.
the Fred Hampton movie even dropped, before Black Messiah even dropped. I was like, I want to do something about Fred. It's just like sometimes I'll have like inklings in the back of my head, and I might have to wait a project or two to get them out. And that was one of the things I wanted to do, something for Fred. And I said, well, this Black Panther-ish themed record, talking, giving praise to Little Bobby and Bobby Seale and Huey P and all that. I said, like, all right, so we're gonna do this Fred joint. And so I was just sitting there, and I was like, you know what? I should feature a whole bunch of Chicago MCs on it. Chicago is his hometown. That's where his home base was. That would be cool. And I wouldn't have to really be like, hey, there's a bunch of Chicago MCs on it. I don't have to do that. It speaks for itself. I will mention in the press release, obviously, or whatever may have you in the conversations, but I felt like it was more important just to get their participation than to try to pass it up some little gimmick. Hey, I got 5 Chicago MCs I can put on the track. It's cats I respect: Sketch, Alex Ludovico, Gyroscope, and Def C. And the good story about that is Def C was hesitant to get on it at first. He said he wanted to do some soul searching to see if a white guy could talk about that on this record. And I appreciated that. And I pushed him that I wanted him to do it. So I was like more in the positive. Yeah, man, you live there. That's all I kind of want. So what's your angle and stuff like that? And he acquiesced and gave me a great piece. I told everybody write like 8 bars so we could kind of fit it on the record. Yep. And but that piece, that meant a lot to me. That Def even was hesitant and had those concerns, because I know that he really cares.
He's really cerebral with it, and he understands and doesn't want to step anywhere he shouldn't step, which I like. But it's important for white people to stand with the movement, right? To not let it be a black thing, right?
Exactly. Definitely. I agree with that.
This is human shit right here. And anything that's fucked up, we need to help. Like that's it.
That should be your first response. So yeah, so on that one, it was a good mission to go about. And funny, at first I only had Colossal Structure, and then so the serendipity of the record just is like, you have no idea. So like I had Colossal Structure, that's my man, we talk frequently. And his partner, IB Focus, I know him too, but I'm not as close to him. Mm-hmm. And I gave them the assignment, but Colossal turned this thing, and out the blue, Focus sent me a verse. I was like, I had finished a song kind of without him. I didn't know if he had the time. I wasn't trying to press anybody. And I had a long birth to do the record. So if he didn't have the time, I wasn't going to take it personal or anything like that. And it was funny because he sent me the verse. I was like, oh, man, I hit up our live. I was like, yo, put this hit. We had to rearrange everything. So that was like serendipity to come out with that. And just made the song even better. So salute to that, man.
No, these are like great guest verses in interesting places that really do help. I mean, you must have been pretty excited when you got that Breeze Brewing track solidified. Like,
so Breeze was in communication with me this whole time while he was working on it. Before he started working on it, we would check in with each other, and I really respected that. That's like dope. I don't know when this will go live, but people haven't seen it. So we shot a video too. So there's a video for Weapon 13X with Breeze. He showed up to the video shoot. He's gracious. This is a legend friend of mine, and so when I got those vocals, that was crazy. When I got the lift vocals, that was even crazier. I was very patient with him. He had a lot going on in the time he was working on. So he was very gracious to even get me that verse, because he had a lot going on. So he could have not been able to do it. So just getting these people that not even, I could say 10 years ago, but shoot, not even 5 years ago, but like 10, 12 years ago, I was in total reverence of their skill, their application, their artistry, and I never considered me working with them. That was always some far-fetched oh, I'd love to get a verse from Breeze. And so the fact that that's real in my later stages of my rap career, I couldn't ask for anything better. I was like speechless. It's something that Woods agrees with me. We both said it. It's like, yo, when you're on a song with Breeze, just worry about your part. Don't don't try to get in. Oh, let me see, can I match? Don't just worry about your part. Focus on your part because he's eating red meat, bloody. He's so good, and he gave me such a, like I said, he was in communication with me, so he hit me up. He's like, yo, can I call you Curly Fidel? I was like, oh yeah, you say my name in the rap. When I get off the phone with him, not when I'm talking to him. But it's just like, but he was so transparent and like communicated with me that was like an enjoyable experience amidst COVID and amidst all of that. You know what I'm saying? Just talking to the dude.
I love his verse. It's so composed. It's so dope. The best thing you can do is not try and do the kind of song the other person's doing, if that makes sense. Like what I used to hate, whenever Twisted was brought into a song, the main rapper would do the Twister.
Do the Twister. Yep. It's a good point. Yeah. And it would be like, the only time that worked though is when the Master did it, when Biggie outboned Bone Thugs.
Oh shit.
But here's the twist what people don't realize. Biggie's just rapping in a faster flow. He's actually not doing the Bone Thugs flow. No, but because he's on the song with them, you start thinking, oh, he did the Bone. That legend was running. And I remember people would skip the song. As soon as he finished, they would skip right to the next song. They wouldn't even listen to Busy. And Busy
Crazy. I love that song.
No, they're spaz at all of them. So I just something like that, when it comes to like styles. Yeah.
No, but it's important, and I think that was when I first was like, Saba is something, because Saba had Twista on there, and he just did Saba. He didn't worry about it.
Right.
Twista,
right.
I'll do Saba. We'll meet, and that'll be great. So I appreciate that. But yeah, the cool thing, Wrecking Crew wise, and you guys have subverted a lot of the expectations that people tried to kind of bottle this movement in over the years, right? Art rap, right? You guys were, it was art rap, and it was avant-garde, and it was like a nostalgic, right? They tried to put all these different things on it.
Yeah.
But like, you guys will reach out and be like, this song has Rob, Sonic, and Doof, and you whatever,
Yep.
Cross generations and bring people together. And cross sounds and like mutate sounds and change things. And that's always been pretty valuable, like, and to be able to keep going.
Yep. I mean, like, again, these things were daydreams, night dreams back in the day. And now it's like you acquire a certain cachet and you build up enough equity where you're like, yo, I'm gonna hit up. I mean, I hit up Rob years ago when I was just starting out, or when I was in the middle of this whole thing, and it didn't work out then. Should I say it? Well, we got to work with Rob in the future. I'll just say that.
Yep, that's awesome.
So it's just like, now it's like, when you get to a certain point where, what's the worst thing somebody can say is no. So the fan and the fandom and the reverence turns into, maybe I'm 2 levels below this peer, and I can approach them on something. And of course, you want to compensate people and stuff like that, but sometimes the work just happens and stuff. Like my connect, when I got on the Alchemist and Armand Hammer record, like, Al is real. He liked my verse. He's cool with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there'll be anything, no listeners, I ain't saying there'll be anything with Alchemist and Curly Castro in the future, whatever, but the reverence is there, the respect is there. Like when we had the show together, and so that means a lot to me too.
Totally. Yeah, just to be on the map. I mean, but that is the cool part. It seems like a lot of this grows out of like an antagonistic thread that is properly channeled within the group, where, like, as an example, Zilla's putting together Vegas Vic, and he's like, all you motherfuckers are grabbing sleepy beats and just rap until the end of them. I'm going to go hooks. It's going to be about hooks. And this is his most hooky project. So, like, if you see too much over there, you guys are always like, what's happening over there, though? Like,
yeah, I mean, we're still all creative in our own right. So I never think that we'll ever follow any trend or try to do our version or whatever. We just don't work that way. And like I said, we just keep working. So whatever trend is going on, we're oblivious to that. I don't even know some you know, I don't even know sometimes some current stuff. I have to play catch up. So we're just always gonna do us, you know.
So I need to ask, Cujo taught me, has the
Okay.
beautiful Beanie Man Interlude.
Yes.
When did that become key to the song? That sounds like it feels like a Jason Griff thing.
Well, no, it was my idea.
It was your-
So it's a piece of that verses they did, and it's like and it's a typical part in a sound clash where they play somebody else's beat and they just start going off.
right.
And it's the best part. Beanie's beer gut is sticking all the way out. He's genuflecting to the sky. And they're just rapping at each other. It's just so ill. Buju. No, it's not Buju. It's is it Buju? No, it's not Buju. It's Beanie and oh my God, what am I doing in my brain right now?
Beanie Man verse. A Bounty Killer?
Bounty is Bounty. Yeah, it's Bounty Killer. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Forgive me. And Bounty coming with his heart. And so I love that. I love that verses is actually one of my top like 3. And I just felt like the song was a sound clash in the sense that, like, you know, I'm just kind of battling myself. And within those sound clashes, the DJ might just throw a dub plate on something. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep the party rocking. And so I just wanted it just to be a moment in the record. So if anybody's been to like a reggae party, dub plate comes in because the celeb that did the dub plate, they walk through. They play their dub plate. Now they go sit down and boom, they go back to the regular scheduled programming. So I just wanted that. That's just reggae to me, just that spontaneity. And I felt like grabbing that part when they were being spontaneous. That wasn't anything scripted. That wasn't any of their songs or whatever. And I just felt like it would just fit so much. And Cujo taught me how to do that. Cujo, when you would come on a track, he's bringing attention to himself. His entrance in the tracks would always be like the exaggerated record script. If you put that soundtrack before his verse, it would always work. And then the beat come back in. You know what I'm saying? W2s, like that voice and stuff like that. And so that's what I was going with that song. Cujo taught me how to rock like this.
Cujo Goody.
Yeah.
No, it's and who did the beat for Free Huey hats?
Okay, so that's my man Locust. He's ill. He did the beat for Bobby Immortal. He did Free Huey Fitteds, and he did Killer Priest.
The Free Huey hats are like, that is the song that grew on me the most as I was re-listening. That is like, if you want to listen to this album and you're indifferent to the political elements or the, whatever, like, you can just enjoy the shit out of that.
Yeah, that's just the serrated blade. Like, that's one of Griff's and Alex's favorite. That just is a chop. Like, we just chop until it cleaves off.
And I've never heard a Zilla verse like that. That was awesome for him.
He went there. Yeah, he went there on his political thing. Yeah, he said it. He said, yeah, I'm gonna go there. He actually made it a point. That was like our woo moment. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go here, son. Like, you know what I'm saying, with crafting that song. And again, I'm keeping stuff on the raps. Like, they know what they're featured on, but they don't know what everything was. So they had the outline, and they just went from there.
Yeah, no, he said like they tried to kill Fidel for the casino lobby.
Trying to take the casino lobby. Yep. That's a big, it's a nice move from Z.
Right there. That is awesome.
Yeah, Z can go there. He can go there if he wants. So he wanted to flex that muscle.
It was great, and yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Alex is great on F. He's F for Hampton, right?
Yeah, so it's just like a play on that whole F, Lil Wayne, when he says, the F stands for Wheezy, so to my F stands for him. So that's just all it is.
That's awesome. But no, Alex's voice is so incredible. I was going to ask, I really love the use of Sketch 185 on this album. He's on like 2 tracks.
Yes, he is.
Could you do me a favor and executive produce a Sketch 185 album?
I mean, Sketch 185 and Analog Tape Dispenser, they go back to like the allegory caves, cover themselves in shrouds of Turin and shit, and they get busy. So I don't know. I can't even tell you about their processes. I think Sketch is working on something right now. Tomorrow King's record, I know, is in production, And I think they're working on another War Church record, but I can't talk about his schedule ever. He's just such a beast of an artist. Like, you just let him have his process. Because when he touches down, it's great.
Such an incredible delivery.
Yeah. I was taken back by Sketchum the first time I saw him. It was at a Yule Prague. He had come to New York with part of the Tomorrow Kings, not all of them. And I was just in awe. And when they got off stage, I immediately got their contacts. I said, I want to work with y'all. And then they became like the main features on my project, Restoring Big Build, like all of the features, all of them. And it was just because it's funny, you meet people on the road, you meet people out here in this scene, and you always say, hey, we're going to work together, let's get up. And it's just like when you graduate high school and there's all those KITs and phone numbers in the back of girls that didn't even talk to you for 4 years. So sometimes that's all unfulfilled potential. You don't really call that number and you don't really get back with these artists. But I was determined to work with Tomorrow King. They had moved me so much that they even helped me finish that project. That project was like a little limbo-ish. I was kind of writing it, working on it on my own. And when I met them, I'm finishing this project and they helped me fill in a lot of the blanks. So I always got Sketch on my mind. If he fits a song, I'm gonna call him, I'm gonna hire him, and I'm gonna make sure he handles it right. Because he handles an assignment. Sketch always understands the assignment, for sure.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, if he's got new stuff in the pipeline, I'm willing to rep it as hard as it will go, because he's a hidden treasure. He's one of those like heart of the region people, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's awesome. The so many good tracks. There's some. You got the Kill Her Priest. You got the Black August in 3 parts. You've also got
4 parts. Don't make 4 parts. I don't want people to skip one.
4 parts. Isn't Sharif on this as well, or no?
No, Sharif's not on this.
Okay, this does a Wrecking Crew thing. So did the Killer Priest references come after the Killer Priest roundtable, or were they before, or did it just sync up?
No, it's just how the song what the song means. So it's just the way I wanted to name it. But I think the song was finished before we did the roundtable.
That makes sense.
And so like Prem is talking about a girl, and then I'm talking about like this character from a movie named Priest, and the actor that plays him is a man named Campbell. So he's like a legendary. He's legendary like Jamaican actor, Bruce Campbell. His name Bruce. Yeah, I think it's Bruce. I could be wrong, but you can listen to the song and you want to know. Mm-hmm. And he's played a couple of roles in things like Baby Mama and like Top Shot. Shotters, he's in it, and he's also in like this movie about the cops out there. So like he's a menacing figure. So I wanted to take that angle when the beat switched. But in the beginning, the beat is like, you know, I was like, yo, Prem, we could just shrapnel this shit up. You could do your thing on the first part. So I like how I attack the beat after he sets you up. Oof. So yeah, and then the idea of the name Kill Her Priest, it's just a nice name.
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing about the album that is interesting is a lot of the hooks are repurposed classic hooks that hip hop people will know that are now like different, you know.
Yeah.
So that's it's interesting because as much as the sonics will change, as much as the expectations will be subverted, like you'll remember the switchness, like the chorus will stick in your head.
Yeah. I found out online, and it was like during heavy protest season, and I found that like online, and they were the irony was they were walking through an obviously gentrified neighborhood, and it was all these white folks eating outside. This was an outdoor dining when you couldn't go inside. And as they were walking by, they were singing this, and everybody was eating. It was like packed so out, and they were all looking with just this look on their face of like, oh, I feel a little guilty about what's going on here. And I thought it was just so funny. And I haven't talked about gentrification in a song specific, so I just felt like, you know what, this is the way Castro would talk about it.
Oh no, it's real. A lot of people are talking about gentrification. And I can understand how people might get tired of it, but it's like really affecting people's lives all over the country.
Yeah, I mean, I spent my summers in Chelsea, that's in Manhattan, and everybody that knows Chelsea knows it's changed. Like I remember they added a bike lane. One day I went over there and I got lost because the bike lane made a certain avenue, made 8th Avenue look totally different. And I was turned around, and I grew up there, spent all my life there. My dad was on the phone. He's like, "Kids say turn around." That's my real name. He said, but I'll say when my dad was going to rap, he's like, "Castro, turn around." And I turned, and I found a building that I recognized. Like, oh my God, it was right like behind me. So like I've seen that in real time. My grandmother, that was my grandmother's crib. And so and I have like the sample at the end of it. So it's just like I've seen it in real time. I don't have to talk about it in terms of theories and projections and ideals. I've seen it in real time happen in parts of my neighborhood. And it's not, see, people think they take it the wrong way, but like there was a time where white people were scared to be in my neighborhood, and now they're my neighbors. And the irony of my building that I grew up in on Tennis Court off Church Ave is like, it started off as being built in like the 20s or whatever, and all these white people, Jewish people used to live in there. Mm-hmm. Then they all moved out during the, historic white flight. So gentrification is almost a spit in the face. It's like, oh, now you're back? What are you doing back here? We thought you didn't want to be here. You bounced. And now you're coming back because the rent's better. Like, it's so weird. You know what I mean? That's where it starts. Before it gets into the intrusions and the appropriation, it's just strange because somebody had once said if you're part of a group, rap collective, let's say, and they think you're the problem, you break off the collective still has the problems. So you wasn't a problem. What's going on? Y'all should be thriving, right? You should be flying high, whatever. Everything should be clean and good. So that's just the irony of it. Is like, you're eating crow to come back to our neighborhoods. And and some of it's intrusive.
And it goes back to like the fetishizing while trying to eliminate, right? Like it goes back to that the Don Will bar from Fresh Lemonade or whatever. It's weird because I was wondering, like, are those separate parts of the power structure doing that? Or is it the same? Is this the left hand and the right hand and they don't know it?
There's a consciousness to it because it's so consistent. Yeah. So I'd say consciousness because it could be conscious or it could be subconscious, but there's a consistency to it. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned it in the first song, AV eating saltfish, like, blackface frat party. Gold chain, my brother, sister, I'm like misquote myself. My sister's cousin fucks black. Are you not entertained? Like, can I get that pass? When I'm asking, when I say, am I not into wing? Can you scout me a pass? I'm talking about like some white folks want that nigga pass. Some white folks want that ghetto pass, whatever they call it, and stuff like that. I'm not in the wing, you know what I mean? And that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? You can't pay for it with a couple of shekels. We're not for sale. So play your position. So like, there's a definitely way to reintegrate yourself in the neighborhoods without being so intrusive. That's what we're saying. If the mom and pop shoe store disappears and now there's a Jamba Juice, as cliche as it sounds, that's actually what's happening.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fucked up. I only ask this question. First of all, I wanted to say your commitment to your performances has been something for me over the years, just in the sense that, like, there's a Blue Edwards song that I despise. I can't even do it. And it's the song where you are trying to rap and Small Pro like ambush the beat.
Yeah.
Start getting mad. And it's because your performance is so good on it that I empathize with you and get mad at Small Pro. And
habitual line stuffer. Yeah, that joint.
Habitual line stuffer. That's right. And I was just, you're the only person like that where it's like it's so interesting commitment. And
yeah, I try to there's always that marriage between live and studio, and so I really try to later in my career trying to just emote better. I had a hard time talking about my own personal things, so I said, well, at least I'm gonna talk about something. Let me emote it, play the character a little more to T, just to bring you into my world a little better. So yeah, when I wrote that, I just want to finish. When I wrote that, I was writing it and the beat kept like, the loop is different and I felt like it kept cutting me off. Like as I was writing, just my natural thought. I was like, so wait a minute, let me write it that way. Let me write like the beat is fucking, because that's what it sounded, that's what the loop made me feel. And I could have wrote through it, flow wise. But I felt like this would be more interesting because Young Man rides right over it. But to me, it was just like, oh, Smalls, what do you know what I'm saying? You messing me up on purpose. Yeah. That is a Smalls thing to do. So like that's true. That's not an exaggeration.
The positive end of that, by the way, is Vigilante Breakfast, right? Like Midnight Suns, like you coming into the track, like stretching and hurting and like
I'm an old man. I'm an old man, so that wasn't that hard. So like I just thought like at my age I have my aches and pains. So what would it be like if I was a superhero and I'm a little older? Because that's what being an older MC is. You're a superhero, but you're a little older. Yep. So you got your creaks and your cracks. So you might wake up on the bathroom floor like, oh my God, this cape is wrapped around my neck. I didn't get good circulation. You know what I'm saying? Like regular things and shit like that. Like I slept with my boots on, so my feet kind of hurt. You know, they're good for action, but not like sleeping and stuff, circulation. Yep. And so I just wanted to emote that in that verse. Like what happens. So I'm always a big fan of what do the superheroes do when they go home? Like that, when I was growing up, I was always like the Superman go to the bathroom. And so that would always pervade everything. And so like when I would find books that were more into the realism of comic book heroes having to deal with being human, I was always attracted to that. So like things like Squadron Supreme, which was an alternate universe, was one of the first books I saw like superheroes actually get murked and not get resurrected or nothing and get murked, if people are familiar with it, accidentally, like somebody threw somebody into somebody else. So it was just like human error. Like we have these powers and somebody's going to get hurt. And to me, the fact that they couldn't resurrect or magic that person back, I was like, that's so interesting. That's what it is. And so I want to sell my rhymes like that too. Like I want you to know, like this is not Family Matters. We don't finish it in a half hour at the end.
Right.
And so if that's going to take you off a cliff with me emotionally, then let's go.
I was always drawn to like the characters, like because the universe is so tightly wound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plastic Man just doesn't fit, right? Deadpool doesn't fit,
right?
So you'd have, the cosmic biker bounty hunter, just riding around punching Superman in the face, and everyone was like, "What is this?"
Lobo was crazy.
I was always drawn to that and be like, they kind of don't want this guy here. Like
he's messing up the way things work here by being so real. Like, hey, this guy got like double your power and doesn't care about your little laws and things of that nature. How do you deal with that? Like, Superman is very engaging. I'm not a big DC fan, but he's engaging when like his red, white, and bluish stuff is just not enough. Like this guy, like Mixelplace, like I don't give a fuck. Like, how does he deal? He has to deal, right? And his natural things that he normally falls back on, goodness and pride and trueness, that's not working, but he's still Superman, so he has to solve it. So those are always the more interesting comics to me, where the superheroes have to, in spite of their humanity and also in spite of their heroism, where their powers solve everything, they got to figure it out. And to me, that's some of the best hip hop songs. Is even though you're imbued with all these powers, your lyrics, you got to figure this out and the listener too. So I try to go there.
I mean, and there were people like the Punisher has a troubling following now. Like it's troubling.
Right. Yeah. That's the funny enough, because that's the imagery. So it's easy to take that skull and repurpose it and all that stuff and think, oh, we see him on the covers. Covers are sizzle reels. People don't even get, like, the comic book covers sometimes are not what's in the book. They're sizzle reels. They're when you see them on that revolving shelf. They comic book advertisements go back to the old adage of the spinning shelf, the spinning book rack. What's going to grab your eye? Now, is Punisher really, putting the two guns up somebody's nose that you haven't seen in 3 issues? No, but hey, this is going to make you buy this comic, and they might mention that guy, whatever like that. So covers are misleading. So if you just take Punisher at the cover value and know his intricacies, he's barely the character that he actually has grown to be. He's such an intricate character. And if you're just taking the tropes, it goes to show me that, you're still a mule with a carrot on a stick, because all you're doing is following the low-hanging fruit. Punisher got guns. He's my hero. I have guns. That's not that. Why does Punisher have guns? Why is he hunt criminals? Punisher would shoot you dead in your face, copper.
Straight
Like
up.
that's how about that? Like so it's there's some irony because Zilla brings us up like the Punisher would despise all y'all that wear his little insignia. And the funny thing is, fans of the Punisher didn't wear his insignia. It signified death, certain death that was inevitable because he's on a mission. He won't be stopped. So you're not wearing the Punisher skull. Nobody was just spraying it on himself. So the funniness of people that take that stance, that hard right stance, and use that symbol to express those ideas, it's ironic. They put the little Blue Lives Matter flag on it and stuff like that. But it's like, yo, man, whatever. I remember they were trying to do it with Thanos. They were trying to give Thanos into Trump.
That's right.
They were trying to make like Thanos Trump and Trump Thanos with the glove and all. I was like, yeah, whatever, man. You know what I mean? But it's low hanging fruit. People are gonna grab what they think is easy to grab, crack open, and suck the juices out of it. Yep. And it's not. It lacks something.
The part that I loved about Punisher growing up was just as a writer was like, holy shit, he doesn't have any of the things a superhero had. His family's dead. He has no love interest. He's like I remember there was a Chuck Dixon comic. It opens with him stuck in traffic, pissed because he's late to kill people.
Perfect. That's a perfect opening.
Got the guns in the seat. He's
right.
You know, like
I got things to do. Yep.
There's all these weird Punisher moments where he's like, he just had sex with the hooker and he's looking out the window because the gun deal's happening in about 10 minutes. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna need to get dressed. Like, like, man, you can't do that. Like,
on mission. I'm the Punisher. I'm on mission. Love it.
So I always felt he was like the spam virus that would crash the computer. Like Marvel never wanted him to be that successful.
No, not at all. And they would try to mute him with the stories, but he was just so magnetic. Like I think him versus the Daredevil was a great story because the imagery of the Daredevil being the more righteous of the two, wearing the devil uniform, and the Punisher with the whole righteousness of his exact hate. Like I like the series talked about that. Like when I put them down, they stay down. Your guys pop back up, get bail and sneak out and break out. My guys are done. I'm finished with this. I'm on to the next targets. And there was an absolutism to it. And because it was in comic form, of course you can take that. And we don't want nobody running around being a vigilante like that. Sure. But I think the comic made it safe to do the vigilantism. People talk about that with Batman all the time. Oh, you can't take the law in your own hands. And Punisher was like, you could take that and shove it. And I'm going to show you what my law is, you know. So
no, it's whenever Batman loses his temper, it's like on a goon, but not on the Joker. It's so weird. It's so
because he, you know, with there's he needs the Joker, and so he will only go but so far with the Joker. So
he does.
The Joker justifies his existence. So it's just like, you know. But yeah.
So this is the last question I have for you. I only ask this to interesting people. What is your favorite non-rap album of the last 10 years?
Oh, let's think. The last 10 years. So I go back to 2010.
I always give mine. Mine is The Idler Wheel with the Fiona Apple.
Okay. I don't want to say her name wrong. What is it? Saba. What's the name? Cap. Hold on. Man, hold on now. Mellow music group.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Cap. Mellow.
Is it jazz? Is it?
No, they do like Afrobeat. They do a whole bunch of things. What is that name? Oh, I'm so bad at this.
I feel like that might be. It's not that Antibalas or anything. It's not like that Daptone stuff.
No, hold on. Let me see. Artists. Okay, hold on. I got it. Man, come on. Okay, artists. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Seba Capstead. They did an album. It's like an Afro beat. Said by Copstead is not just a band. It's about showing people what it looks like when cultures collide. Thinna is the product of that collection. So their first record was Conky, and then they had this other record called Thinna. SEBAKAAPSTAD. That was my favorite.
Oh, okay, yes. Seba Copstead. Okay, yeah.
They have another record out, but the second record is the one that Dewey Sanders, that's my man. He designed that. First record, Conky, was dope too.
Yep. Seba Copstead, KAAPSTAD, first SEBA. That's a good. Yes, I remember the Conky one. I definitely rocked that. Yeah, I didn't do the Thinna thing, but I gotta
check that out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, what are the future plans? So when is Shrapnel coming? Do we know that?
Shrapnel will be dropping next year.
Okay.
Can't say when, but the record is like done. So we just got to put it in production and get it rolling. I'm working on that now.
That's awesome. So
Yes,
is there going to be like one crew compilation a year and then everybody's solo stuff? Is that the...
Well, sometimes not playing. Well, the next thing for Wrecking Crews, we have actual LP. Working on that. Yeah, we have actual record. Me, Prem, Zilla, and Smalls have some beats on there too. So yeah, so we have an actual Wrecking Crew LP that'll be dropping next year too. So just to cap it off, and they'll be able to tell the difference between the compilations that we dropped so far and an actual record. Got some banging ass features on there too. I ain't gonna drop that, but yeah, some real choice. People like hearing them with us.
That's awesome. So is there anything you heard this year? So I would say new voices. Who are your favorite new voices you've heard this year?
Well, new old is like Fatboy Sharif.
Oh, I think that's fine. Yeah,
it's new old because he's kind of been around for a few years, but like this record, Gandhi Loves Children, that's the one.
Yeah, that framed him in a new way.
Yeah, but definitely
gave him everything he needs, and then that live performance thing was incredible.
The envious thing about Sharif and Roper in tandem is they've been able to extend the conversation of their album for a whole year. Came out a year ago, and the irony is they get more press about the record now than when they drop. So it goes to show you that first 2-week burst cycle that's pie in the sky. You want people to be talking about your record in a year because Sharif got more stuff in the bank. But what you can do is hold on to that, keep maximizing this opportunity. He got with POW recordings, was able to drop a little deluxe version on tape and stuff like that. Like all of that is beneficial. There's a lot. It's so much disposable music these days, but you still got to give your things time to breathe. Shrapnel had that time. You know what I'm saying? We didn't rush up with another joint. We came with a little remix joint for Chet, but it still, circles back to the original record. And now next year y'all get the second piece. So same thing. Like it's funny because when I look back, I didn't drop a solo record like Tosh was 2019, 2018, 2018. And so you don't even really kind of notice because, I'm doing other things. I dropped Blue Edwards. Blue Edwards was like, me and Smalls. But like my last solo record was Tosh, and that was like 2018 when it first dropped. And then I did the vinyl the year after that, so keep the conversation going. It's important. Like I want us to be talking about
2018? Was Tosh before Fidel?
Tosh was after Fidel. Fidel was like 2017. I think back when it originally dropped. But I want people to be talking about Low Bearing Crow's Feet next year. You know what I'm saying? Amidst all of the other things, we don't make disposable music where you just turn it over and turn it right back around. We want you to get into our new stuff and it reminds you to check out our old stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we definitely have fans that will go back and grab something that surprises us. Oh, word, you're checking this out, and then they'll talk about, oh, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? Because we just having a variety of catalog that you can go dive into. And that's always what I wanted.
Yeah, no, you can find new pockets that are your favorite places on Load Bearing Crow's Feet, and you can just keep finding new pockets. It's beautiful,
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's I was when I was talking to Zilla, we were talking about our favorite rollouts. I
Okay.
brought up Sharif. He brought up Stove God Cooks.
Yeah, he loves Stove Guy.
Because Stove God dropped that album last year, and
Yep.
he's just been killing features since.
Yep.
And
And people go back and go grab the album. They go
Yeah.
back, oh, it's his album. They go back and got Reasonable Drop. Just it takes him right back. But he's
So you don't
definitely been
wanna-
representing on the features and stuff.
You don't want to drop too much, but you don't want to drop and then not drop at the right time. Like, I don't know.
The climate we live in, it's based on like, you know, what have you done for me lately? So, oh, this is dope. What's next? But sometimes you have to fight that urge and still honor your own schedule. Because with people, I think, and this is my own personal experience, what they run into is they start competing with themselves.
Mhm.
Shells, man, rest in peace. His project just dropped.
Amazing.
Son, it's a great
Sons
project.
of Andre.
Great project.
Amazing.
Sons of Andre, great project.
Love it.
But he had run into an issue at one point where he was selling East Hampton Polo Boys merch, but was putting out the lobster. I think the lobster. I can't remember what that one was called.
Lobster Tales of the Tesla.
Lobster Tales of the Tesla. And I was feeling like, yo, you're kind of crossing streams. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that. Like you got to kind of give everything its space, even if you have other things on deck. Your fans will wait. And I'm bad at that myself. Like I wanted this record to come out. I mean, I'll tell you, it would have been silly. Like I wanted this, but I was pushing Woods. I was like, oh, you know, where's the schedule and stuff? And he was like, you know, he had his mind made of where it should go, and it turned into the perfect place for it to be. So sometimes you have to hold back your own instincts and your own, you know, your own anxiousness about, I got the next shit. Like I know a group back in the day, they did that and cut their nose to spite their face because they were always disappointed in their old shit because they're working on new shit, but nobody had heard shit. And one thing you learn in music is it's new until somebody hears it.
Yep.
And so by dishonoring your stuff that you have ready to go because you got this new shit in the deck, you're really just playing a game and not giving anybody anything. Mm-hmm. When you turn around to it. And so you don't want to be your own worst enemy. So I just say, yo, just sharpen your blade, be confident in the forge. And then when you pull it out the fire, just be ready to swing it. That's all. What else?
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of people are proving that they're prolific, and that's kind of their thing now. Is they're like, right. I'm prolific. I do, but to your point, it's got to be building somewhere, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be. It's got to be building to a point. The people you love, every time they release something, it was important, right?
Like this record. Little Robert Hutton, each song is its own powerful statement. That was something important to me. Each song can exist by itself, not even in a single game, but like each song was its own album, it would still work. And that was like my own quality control and my, you know, my nature and how I work. It was important that all of those things stood up to itself. So I'm not gonna release no Flotsam and Jetsam or filler or something that just gonna carry you from track 5 to 8. Here's some little 7 stuff. Like that's not the time. I want everything to say that I say to be important and have gravity. So I felt it was important to make each one of those moves matter. And so like just throwaway albums and stuff like that comes out of extra work. So let's say we do 12-song album and I did 20 joints. I don't hold on to music. So let's see how we can repurpose these 8. But even that is gonna have a mission and a statement. We're not just going to be throwing stuff out there. None of our stuff is that disposable. Everything is worth the time that it took to make it. So we want to present it in a proper package where you as a listener is going to place that value right back on it. Yep.
And I think you've done like a lot of work tightening up every quadrant of your artistic makeup. If that makes sense. From the hooks to the impact to the delivery to the written stuff. We talked about it because like Zilla feels like he's on a mission to become as concise as he can, right? Mm-hmm. To become like a great crime writer in that way. And you are on the opposite mission. Your shit is getting denser and denser. And that's really cool. You're building like worlds and labyrinths for people to cross through.
Thank you.
Fucking cool. And I think that's why Shrapnel hit so hard is because Armand Hammer had started hitting really hard, right? Mm-hmm. The first, I got to do an email interview with Woods, and one of the first things I asked him was, how weird is the process of like the additional levels of people loving you, right? Of like Pitchfork loves you now, but they never even covered you.
Right.
You know? Like, how is that? How does that must feel weird? And so they were blowing up in that way. People started checking for every Backwoods release, and they were like, "Oh, there's another group," and it was just the perfect record to go along with it. So,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's just the Backwoods decree. You got to hold up your part of the bargain, and so ain't gonna be it's not gonna be no watered down product when you label mates with Woods and Lucid. It's just not happening.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope this gets the highest treatment, from everyone, because it. To be fair, I think hip hop is a pro-black place, or
Okay.
it's supposed to, right? But not everybody within it really is.
Agreed.
And this is a record. If you're gonna put it on your chest and you're gonna be like Little Robert Hutton, motherfucker, like you've gotta wear that. You've got to explain that. You've got to declare yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So, yeah, be about it, I would say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I gotta talk to you a little bit after we close this out. But
all right, thank you for having me, though. I appreciate this is my first little piece on the record. It's I always felt like it would be kind of daunting for me how to talk about this record because it is kind of personal and emotional.
Yep.
And I just wanted people to know how I felt about certain things.
Oh, shoot. No, what I was going to do before you go, I was going to read from the book.
Okay.
Read from the book. This is a great book. Companion piece. Anybody listens to this wants to know more. It's called Seize the Time, and it's by Bobby Seale.
Nice.
So,
I'm an adjunct professor at my college.
We'll read a little here. So, Father Neil called me up about 2 hours later, about 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning, told me that Bobby Hutton had been killed. He told me that Eldridge Cleaver and Bobby Hutton had somehow been forced into a house. As they were coming out of the house, Bobby had his hands up, but they shot him in the head. Eldridge and I had been spotted twice by cops in the white car that day. We saw them looking at us and carrying on. I really felt that they shot Bobby Hutton thinking they were shooting me. I was mad. I knew Huey had said that we didn't believe in spontaneous riots, but I was so mad at that point that I felt that I was going to tell all those people at the rally the next day to turn Oakland upside down. I was going to tell every black person who came to the rally to tear up the town. I was going to tell them to hit the big man, the big time businessman's business. That's what I was going to tell them. I kept thinking about the fact that Huey had said no spontaneous riots, but I felt differently with Bobby Hutton dead. The feeling that they thought they were killing me, and instead they murdered little Bobby Hutton. Maybe I shouldn't have felt that way, and that's what I was thinking. Next morning, I went over to Gary's office, the police station where we had a press conference, where Gary went to visit. I went to visit Huey at the county jail in Oakland. Huey sent a tape back, told me to remember to tell the people not to riot, but to tell them to organize themselves, that the cops occupy our community like a foreign troop, and that we have a right by the Constitution of the United States to have guns and weapons in our homes. He urged me to tell them not to spontaneously riot because that's not the correct method, because all it will do would get 50 or 100 black people killed, maybe 200 wounded, and thousands arrested, as in riots in the past. He said he had to think of the safety of our people, even when brothers were murdered, like brother Bobby Hutton was murdered. He said, I knew that and shouldn't act on emotions, but should act on the correct methods of the struggle.
Oh, yeah.
So to the original point of like the lack of safety and the difficulty in the decisions that were being made, I just thought that spoke to it. Yeah.
Yeah, restraint and grace are one of our greatest gifts as a people. And to, you know, to hold tight in very tense situations where revenge is like burning at you know, at all of your instincts. And Huey knew that because he knew the retribution would be even 10 times fold, you know, tenfold worse.
Right. I mean, and before that, there's a whole section where Bobby knows he's being hunted, right? Where like he beats his case, he goes home, and there's cops swarming his neighborhood, and they're not there to arrest him again. That's the
They're
hit
trying
squad.
to catch him. Yeah, they're
That's
trying to catch him.
Yeah,
Catch
they're
him
trying to
slipping.
do the Fred thing to him, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he sneaks out of his window. He goes to a friend's house, gets a haircut immediately, changes clothes, like puts on glasses, corners somebody else, gets a ride somewhere else, and sneaks off. Like basically, but like they weren't even ducking arrest; they were ducking hit squads. They were cops.
That's
like,
how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a steady hand makes a strong fist. And I think the
Mhm.
Black Panther Party showed us that.
That's the legacy, and we all, you know, I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with me.
No doubt.
Everybody, support the WNBA playoffs.
Yeah, they're going strong. We're getting to the finals soon.
Right.